Congratulations. How are you feeling?
Thanks. I feel happy. I'm sure I'm gonna be sore later, but I feel fine right now.
Did that fight go the way you kind of envisioned in your mind?
Yeah, I did. I knew that Tristan's he's a dog fighter himself, like me. I figured the difference would be the takedowns. My wrestling background. I know he's got a jiu-jitsu background. He's a black belt, but I figured my wrestling would be the thing that gets me the win.
Was there anything about him that surprised you?
No, I watched a lot of his fights. It's exactly the type of fight I thought it was going to be. I was tired, he was tired, and we both just kept on pushing through. I knew it was going to be one of those, like, who could swim in deeper water, who could dig deeper. And I've been there so many times, I felt like I could do it.
When do you want to get back in there?
I'd like to maybe get back in there around September, let's say. I'm not in a hurry to get back in there too fast, but I definitely want to get back in here around September. This was the last fight of my contract. I'm pretty sure I'll get a new contract. I got a good relationship with the UFC. This is where I want to finish my career. I don't want to fight for anywhere else. So I'm pretty sure I'll be back here soon.
Do you have an opponent in mind?
No, I'm going to sit down, look at the roster, and figure that out too. I don't like making decisions anymore on last minute, like just calling out somebody. I like to see who's kind of available and go from there.
And what about location? The UFC seems to be going back out on the road a little bit more. Are you happy fighting here? Or do you want to fight somewhere else?
I would like to fight with the fans. It's just so much more fun. The energy, you can feel the energy as soon as you walk out, and I miss it. I've been fighting here the last 3 fights. I fought in Florida the time before that with no crowd. So my last 4 fights, no crowd at all. So I would like to fight again with the crowd.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For this fight, you didn't seem to look to want to engage in too much of a brawl. It seemed like you didn't throw too many punches without shooting for that takedown and not doing the patented slobber knocker thing. Was that a stylistic thing coming into this fight, or was that a part of the plan, or did it just happen that way?
That was definitely part of the plan. Moving my feet, keeping my guard high, make him come to me and just counter off of him instead of going forward and just brawling with the guy. And I wanted it to get swinging like he did and then take him down. That was the plan from the very beginning, is get him to really load up on some of his punches, and when he loaded up, take a shot.
Yeah, you just seemed to be really on point overall tonight in all areas. What would you attribute that to?
It's been a great camp. Went back and just reevaluated myself. I came in a little bit lighter than I usually am. I felt like I made some adjustments in my fitness and my strength and conditioning. I've been working with the coach for a while now. I felt like we're all on the same page. So, and the timing thing it's really been there for me this camp. I felt like my wrestling timing and my striking time has been really on point this camp.
And your teammate Touchy Feely's up next, I believe. Do you like fighting on the same card with teammates?
Yeah, it's like a big party, you get a bunch of Team Alpha Male guys and a bunch of our friends that come here, and we hang out and we train together and we feed off each other's energy, and it's a lot more fun when you have more people with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, Darren. You look like you were having fun. And when they announced the decision, you really went into like, I did it mode. How was that, man? What was the vibe? You looked like you just had a good time.
Yeah, I did have a great time. I was having fun this whole fight. I was having fun this whole fight week. I think part of it was to sit back and have fun again. I'm at the later part of my career, and I want to remember these last few fights, and I want to have fun. Not, I've had so many fights, and sometimes I just went from one to another, and I never really sat and go, man, I'm going to enjoy this moment. I was worried about the next fight. So I'm trying to really cherish the moment, and I want to remember these moments, and I want to have fun. And I think when I'm having fun is when I'm fighting at my best too.
That's excellent. And let me circle back to a point you made earlier when you said you wanted to finish your career with the UFC in the octagon. Is that part of it, regardless of whether you have 4 left or 40, you want to enjoy it, soak it in, right?
Yes, I want to enjoy it. I want to soak it in. I want to remember it. I got 2 kids. I got a daughter who's 15 and a son who's going to be 12 on Monday. So now these are the fights they're going to remember, the ones at the end of my career, you know. So I want them to remember, hey, man, my dad loved his job. He was an awesome fighter, and he was a good guy.
Have the kids been out to an event to come see dad fight?
They used to always come, and then the whole COVID thing happened, and they haven't been coming. But right before the COVID, they came to every one of my fights. I mean, they always like to come to my fights. My wife, she barely ever missed any fights, and she's really missing it. You know, I talked to her the whole week, and she's like, man, I just miss being out there at fight week, and I miss having them out here too. It's cool to have them out here.
That's excellent, man. And last for me, when we talked to you earlier in the week, before you walked through that door, you said there will be blood, and you were a man of your word.
I'm telling you, if you just look at me, I'm bleeding sometimes. Look at me wrong, I'm bleeding. It's just, this time I didn't have to have any stitches, though. I think he might have to have stitches, but I didn't have to have any stitches. There's only a few fights I can tell you that I've had in the octagon that I haven't had any stitches.
All right, I'm a man. Congrats on the win.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Actually, I was going to bring that up. I was going to say, did you have any moment in that fight where you realized that he was the bloodier of the two? Did you kind of just think to yourself, like, hey, this is a nice change?
I knew he was bleeding pretty good, and we stood up one time, and I remember he was bleeding everywhere, and I was going, oh, that's how I usually look, I guess, because I knew I was bleeding a little bit, but I wasn't bad. So I looked into his eyes, and I'm like, I felt your pain. I've done that a few times myself.
Oh, when you see that, though, I mean, how good? At that point, do you sort of mentally assess how good you maybe feel? Because if you were in the opposite side of that coin, if you were carrying more of that damage, can you feel how much better you felt in that moment, not knowing that you were not carrying the damage that you maybe would normally at that point in the fight?
Yeah, and I think, I do damage a little bit easier than most, but I think sometimes it's the judging. You see somebody with the damage, and I could be winning that whole fight, but my face is all bloody, my eyes half shut. Then sometimes they still give them that round. So I felt like that was a big thing too. It's like, all right, I'm doing a lot of damage, I'm landing the harder strikes, and I'm getting no takedown. So I felt like that just nullified the victories for me.
And I know you brought up, as you're getting later in your career, some of the fights towards the end. But how good does it feel to know that you could still get in there with these younger cats and still do all the things that you do? You were so controlling when you were able to work him and get him on the ground, control his body. That's got to be quite a confidence boost for you as well, to know that you're still performing at such a high level and still able to do those sort of things.
Yeah, I'll be 38 in a couple weeks here, May 16th. So I feel like I'm still able to compete with these guys. The big thing for me is when I'm in practice, I'm competing with those young guys, the Team Alpha Male, these hungry young guys, and we got some top talent in there. And I'm doing fine in those rounds. So I'm like, man, I still got it, and I know I still got it. So coming to this fight, I'm not surprised me being able to do what I do during the fights at my age. And that's because I do it in training all the time. I'm beating up on the young guys in training all the time, and I feel better than ever. I still feel like there's still some fighting as the old dog. So hopefully we can have some fun fights and maybe do another. My goal is make it to 40. So that gives me about 2 years. Make it to 40 and call it quits.
So with that, perfect case scenario. Well, first, I guess, is this the first time you've ever made it to the end of your contract without having another contract in place?
No, they've been doing that for a couple of years now. Since they took over, they've been doing this every time. It used to be with the Fertitta brothers, they'd always re-sign you on your last ones, but now they always let you fight it out and then they re-sign you afterwards. So it's nothing new. I'm sure I got a good relationship with the UFC. I'm sure they'll be calling and we'll get a new contract.
Because I know that was the same thing that, we mentioned Feely. Feely was very frustrated. He went like some 8 months or so and he was like, when am I going to get something? At what point will you be nervous if you don't hear something? Because I know you want, like you said, you want to stay UFC, but you also still got fight left in you. At what point do you get nervous and maybe start thinking, maybe I do need to look elsewhere? I mean, what's the typical time frame afterwards that they usually get back to you and offer you something?
Me and Sean, we've always seen eye to eye. I've never had a problem with Sean. I mean, I've had to sit out a little bit, but that's just any fighter will tell you longer than they want to. I'm positive in a couple of weeks I'll reach out to him, and he'll kind of tell me where we renegotiate it. He always does, I've never had any problem getting back to me and working it out. So if I would have lost this fight, yeah, maybe he doesn't get back to me. But after a win like this, and I went 3-1 on this contract, I'm sure he's gonna re-sign me. I mean, he knows if it's Darren Elkins, he knows I'm going to make weight. I'm going to show up to fight. So there's still some fight left in me. So I'm sure he's going to want to see it.
And if you're trying to get 2 years, I mean, it probably makes sense if you get another 4-fight contract.
That's what
probably
I'm
the
shooting
perfect
for.
number.
Four sounds like good. You know, I don't like fighting any more than 2 times in a year anymore. In my career, these long camps, it's too hard on my body. I like 2 fights a year. So you give me 4 fights, then yeah, that should be perfect.
Best of luck, man. It's always fun watching you get in there and do it. And it's glad to see you not wearing too much when you come back here to see us. You're wearing a smile on your face
Yes.
instead of a bunch of
I
damage.
appreciate that.
You bet.